Hello and welcome to the only show that brings you all the amazing Kickstarter greatness that's happening in indie comics. It's Kickstarter Talk, Cadavers, White Widows, and Conceptual Heists. Oh my. We have recently changed This Week in Indie Advocates, This Week in Indie, I should say, to only reflect the Kickstarters that are about to end, kind of like the last rites, if you will. But you can still find all the amazing Kickstarters right here, which we're going to click on. Oops, we're going to click on this link right here when it stops messing with me. And we're going to get back to this program in just a minute and start with Cadavers. But until that moment, let's check out what's on the show today. And of course, remember, and we talk about this all the time, and it's so important that you guys know, and this is the wrong screen because, of course, it's live and there always has to be at least one thing to go wrong. So if that's the one thing this night, that won't be so bad. So remember that $1 shows support, it attracts attention, helps fund projects, it supports creators, and it creates new worlds, and it stops the reboot culture. Kickstarter for the Independent Creator, second edition, a practical and informative guide to crowdfunding. Oh my God, Amanda Howley Rising's new cover for Boston Metaphysical Society look amazing. You guys got to check it out. You can find this book on Amazon. If you're going to kickstart a new world, this is the book to read. Cadavers is going to be featured on our program along with The White Widow, Sci-Fi's, Conceptual Heist Chapter 3, Cthulhu is Hard to Spell, The Adventures of Parker Reef, Crossword Great, sounds like a political thing, The Changeling, Dara Queen, T-Man and Hyperstrike, The Guano Guy is back, but he's not on Kickstarter, he's on Indiegogo, Daisy Chain, 100 Days, Franklin and Ghost, Ruby and the Warriors of Dion, Suicide Prevention, Leap, Listen, Realm of Spirits, Into the Suck 3. I got a really cool thing to talk to you guys about, getting some amazing rope. And of course, for those of you who don't know, I'm the creator of Fetish Baby. So this Kickstarter is near and dear to me. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. Jolly Jane, Light Earth, The Gathering Volume 1, Light Chasers, and Mississippi Zombie. And of course, join the Advocating Facebook group and put your Kickstarter in there. If I don't know about it, I'll make sure I suddenly do. And I actually go through the groups before we start this program to make sure that we have all these amazing Kickstarters on the program. Let's stop me talking and let's get to this. And by the way, my name is Mr. Anderson, and I am the advocating voice for indie advocates. And tonight, I am lucky enough to advocate for these amazing Kickstarters. So let's start with Cadavers, World Gone to Hell.
Okay, Mary, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. My name is Mary Harper, and welcome to North Media News, sponsored by Mad Robot Comics. Our headline story tonight is the crime wave hitting the dockside area of Monstertown. The disappearance of alleged gangster, Snubnose Mancini, has resulted in a turf war affecting both humans and spectrals alike. Our man on the scene, Russell M. Olson, reports sightings of a blob detective. In other news, commenting today on the 30% increase in spectral violence, Minister for Spectral Affairs, Marcus North, is quoted as saying, "These figures are misleading. Most is spectral upon spectral attack." Full story at 10 with Kieran Stevens. Our consumer affairs correspondent, Dan Erie, reports today chaos in our supermarkets. More information available online. The spectral dating app, Kindling, continues to cause concern, with accusations that the exclusion of humans is both unfair and racist. Kindling founder, Jordan Thomas, was unavailable for comment when approached. I bet he was. Also tonight, reports are coming in about a disease outbreak across the southern states. Dr. Matthew Hardy has confirmed that the medical profession are perplexed by this malady, which seems to have no current cure. Tonight's weather reports of storms across the eastern mountains. Meteorologist Rory Donald has advised to stay indoors due to high electromagnetic activity. And finally, I'll leave you with a quick reminder that Cadavers, World Gone to Hell is now live on Kickstarter, and we would love you to pledge. Thank you, and good night.
Now, I just want to say how fantastic that is. I don't think I've ever actually said how clever that was, the setup for it and all that. So I really appreciate that. Doing this show with all the copyright sometimes makes me want to drink. So I definitely understand why she would take a drink. This is pretty cool. The White Widow. It's from my friend who I actually get to see at the Comic-Cons. I think I'm seeing him, creator Benny Powell, who worked for Marvel. I believe he said he was going to be at he's going to be at Tampa Bay with me. We're doing the roadmap, the forecast tomorrow, actually. Very excited about it. Look at that. Just an amazing looking comic book. It's White Widow #1, a new comic book series by Jamie Twindale. I know I'm saying that wrong. Is she a hero, a villain, or something in between? And of course, my friend, created by Benny Powell, just doing amazing stuff. So excited to see the success that they had. They didn't have a video, so I can't play what I don't have, but definitely check it out. Look at the amazing art, man. It funded in 13 hours. It's a beast. All right, check out Sci-Fi's.
A desperate soldier makes her last stand against alien creatures. An intergalactic superhuman goes on a rollicking space adventure. An oppressive corporation drives a lifeless society. These are just a few of the stories awaiting you in the 2018 Sci-Fi's anthology. From Ramon Gill and edited by Gregory Silver, featuring 8 of today's most exciting creators: Paul Bradford, Claire Connolly, Matt Kelly, Meredith Moriarty, Robert Shadaro, Tu Sorensen, Marta Tanrakuna, and Lin Yoshi. Travel to another time, another place, or even another planet, where the limits of the imagination stretch to the furthest reaches of the universe. Explore haunting visions of the future and thrilling worlds just beyond your imagination. Fasten your seatbelt and let the creators of Sci-Fi's take you there.
How cool is that, guys? Speaking of cool, check out the Conceptual Heist.
Hello, and welcome once more to the jazz punk world of Conceptual Heist. After the success of our first Kickstarter, we are now bringing you Conceptual Heist Chapter 3, Above and Beyond, in full color. This will be a digital-only edition, but there are still physical rewards to be had. Signed copies of Chapter 1, panel prints, and mini-comics, as well as other unique rewards. So come on out and join the heist.
Now, those who are wondering if the jazz music was actually free to use, it was.
So once I'm focused on doing the camera, I'm like, hello and welcome to the jazz.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
It is a pain in the ass to track down some of these usage rights, but they are doing the right thing. Speaking of doing the right thing, Back Cthulhu is hard to spell. And here's why.
Do you love Lovecraft? Lovecraft! Hi, I'm Russell Nolte, creator of Ichabod Jones' Monster Hunter, Katrina Hates the Dead, Pixie Dust, and editor of the Monsters and Other Scary-ish anthology. And I'd like to introduce you to my new anthology, Cthulhu is Hard to Spell. If you love Lovecraft, this is your jam. So here's where this anthology is different. There are dozens, maybe hundreds of Lovecraftian horror anthologies out there. I didn't want to make another one. What I wanted to do was make an anthology that was unlike anything I've ever seen before. What I wanted to do is show dozens of gods and monsters. I wanted to show you Not just scary gods and monsters, but also cute ones, sci-fi ones, fantasy ones, cosmic ones, outer gods, elder gods, and everything in between. I went out and filled this book with tons of amazing creators who worked for Marvel, DC, Oni, Tokyo Pop, Heavy Metal, Fantagraphics, Upper Deck, Sony, and on brands like Teen Titans, My Little Pony, Invader Zim, Ghostbusters, Horizon Zero Dawn, and much, much more. Now, here's the deal. This book is 100% done. I could hit distribute right now if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that. What I want is to print this book, just like our first anthology, Monsters and Other Scary-ish, which was 224 pages of awesome monster goodness. We were able to raise $27,000 to print this on high-quality glossy art paper in glorious hardcover. And that's what I want to do with our new book. Cthulhu is hard to spell. So if you want to see an amazing Monsters and Gods version of a Cthulhu Lovecraft anthology, then all you have to do is pledge.
That is pretty badass. He gives some of the best stuff, man. Speaking of badass, and the creator you're about to see, and I do give you guys a warning, this is going to be difficult to watch. He has used tragedy, or not used, but taken tragedy and made it a powerful story, I'll say. And man, this one's hard to watch, but I am so excited about it. And all these Kickstarters are about to end, so don't waste time. Make sure you're on it right now. And here we go.
Thanks so much for coming and checking out the Kickstarter for The Adventures of Parker Reef, new book that I'm writing and drawing now. I'll just cut right to it. The book is an extremely personal project. For those who know what happened, you know why. For those who don't, on March 14th of this year, Wednesday, I lost my girlfriend and our son. So, for months, and to even today, I don't know what to do with myself. But I know that I have to write and draw this book. Parker, our son, was named after a comic book character, a certain guy who shoots webs. And my whole job has been drawing comics for as long as I can remember. And it was the thing that Tana, my girlfriend, probably loved about me the most. The fact that I followed my dream. So this book is a tribute to her and her belief in me, and to the son that I never got to really meet. So the way the book works is Parker and Tana are where you go when you pass. And years have gone by, and he has chosen as his birthday wish a very special wish. And that is to spend a day with me in the land of living. So Tana, over the years, knew that this was a possibility. And you know, when things go missing within your house, like pencils and keys and socks and all that kind of stuff, Tana has taken certain things from my studio in our house and slowly taught him about me and my life and who I am. So he's going to take some of those things, most importantly being the pencil from my studio, because that pencil holds everything I've ever drawn. And in his adventure, he'll be able to use that pencil to draw the things he needs to get to where he needs to get to, which is ultimately, hopefully, me. Now, the adventure part, well, he's a soul, and that soul is trying to get somewhere. And people want to take control of certain souls, and he fails to get to me. His soul is lost forever. So while on his way, he will encounter creatures, other lost souls, tormented souls, demons, adventures, obstacles, all that kind of stuff. Any son of mine is going to go on the coolest, greatest adventure anyone can go on. So, that's it. I want to do this book for people who have lost children, loved ones. I think it's important. It has to be done. And I know that Tana would want me to do it. And in all honesty, it's the only way while I'm here that I'll have them again. So I have to do it. And if it helps other people who have lost, it's amazing. And she would love that. So that's it. Hopefully the artwork that is in the video tells you more than clearly I'm stating right now. Thank you so much for always supporting my projects. This one especially. Please support it and share it. I'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Every time I see that, man, my heart goes out to him. I wish I could reach in honestly and just give him a fucking hug. I'm sorry. Give him a hug. Sorry. I'm trying to watch. I'll put $1 in the swear jar. I'm going to make a swear jar and put $1 in. And every time I swear, that $1 is going to go to a creator. So you guys hold me accountable. Every time you hear me swear on a live video, say, Rob, you have to donate to a Kickstarter. But my heart, man. Oh, my God. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I am so I almost watched my son die the night he was born, and I can totally relate in regards to just a fraction of understanding that moment. Oops, we've gone and screwed something up here. And oh man, honestly, I mean, I wish I could do more than I am doing right now. And I've told him, I've said anytime he needed to talk, he can reach out. And I'm sure he's got closer friends than me. But I mean, it's seriously something you want to do. And the good news is the thing that we can do is get to make sure that this gets made. And that's what we do. That's what we do. That's how we keep the memory alive, and we allow creativity to be something that's a very powerful thing. So we're gonna continue on with Crosser's Gate, and I'm working on something special. We're hopefully gonna get it for you guys. So let's check out Crosser's Gate.
Hey everybody, it's Shane here from Crimson Gate Comics, the creator of Beast King. I'm here today because we are bringing you another Kickstarter for my illustrator Travis Martinez. This is his very own series called Crosser's Gate, and basically it's a suspenseful horror thriller type of series. And what it does is it plays on the many aspects of fear, and the main character, Alien, is a guy that gets pulled into another world, and it's like a crazy twisted version of our world. And basically it's about him trying to escape in the first issue, and the second issue is more about just him trying to figure out what in the world is going on. And personally, I think this is a really good series, which is why I publish it for my illustrator Travis. And when I first read it was pretty much when I first ever hired Travis to illustrate Beast King for me, and he used it as a reference, and pretty much I loved this series so much that I told him I would publish it for him. So if you like this, if you like Beast King, you'll probably like Crosser's Gate, and I hope you decide to back this awesome comic book. Thank you very much, everyone.
Love the Beast King. Absolutely awesome. So I'm excited to see what's next with him. And I love the fact that he was so inspired by it that he did something. Again, Changeling does not have a video. It was funded in 32 minutes, so it didn't need a video. Changeling version is Into the Lungs of Hell Volume 1, available on Kickstarter right now. It's a 68-page trade back. And we are trying to get the creator on here. We'll see if we can get him on. We're currently trying But we're going to watch the video for right now, and then we'll go from there.
Hey everyone, this is Sean Delaney, and I'm here to tell you about the Kickstarter for Drea, Queen of Thieves, issue number 2. Now, of course, issue number 2 follows issue number 1 of Drea, Queen of Thieves, where we reprinted the stories that appeared in Digital Webbing Presents number 12 and 22. Now, with the second issue, we will be reprinting the story that appeared in Digital Webbing Presents number 26, as well as a follow-up story that only appeared in this little ash can copy of the book. It will be full color, and we hope you will take part in our journey to bring you more adventures of the Queen of Thieves. She's essentially Snow White as Robin Hood, or as our former colorist described her, Red Sonja meets Indiana Jones. So check it out. It's Drea, Queen of Thieves here on Kickstarter.
Now, as you guys know, I love to do amazing things. One of the things I've been advocating for is for creators to make their own special video just for this program. But what would be more special than actually having the creator himself show up? Sean, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to the program, Sean. Now, you had done the 7 questions to advocate for your Kickstarter recently, and I really loved the answers you gave. Would you mind taking a few minutes with us and actually doing that right now?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right, let me see if I can open it up on my email, and I'll just ask you the questions, because I was excited to see how you answered them, and I really loved it. And we're going to still print this version. You guys will be able to have this version. I'm just going to ask him the same questions that I wound up asking him the first time, and he's already answered them. But the first question is, why did you feel you needed Kickstarter to help launch your project, and will your goal, if reached, cover all the creative costs?
The second part first, yes. Our base goal is $1,250, and that will cover all of our creative expenses on the book. But like I said in the written version, I work in radio. Comics and radio are things that you do really for love, not to get rich. And working in small market radio, you really don't make the money where you can hire an artist to do 24 pages and then hire an inker and hire a colorist and blah, blah, blah. So the Kickstarter helps cover the expenses, and also really for an independent creator, you don't have a huge name, Kickstarter is probably as good, if not better distribution than you're going to get through Diamond. I mean, that's just the sad reality of the marketplace right now.
Now, just real quickly, you mean I'm not going to get rich doing indie comics?
No, I'm afraid not. No.
I've been doing it this whole time. I thought this was going to get me the next Marvel movie.
Oh, well.
I'm not going to be Mark Millar.
We live in hopes. But yeah, I mean, it's a 1 in a million shot if an independent creator is going to have a breakout. You look back at the 80s, Dave Stevens was able to option The Rocketeer, but how many other comics that were released through Pacific and Eclipse and all those other independent publishers of the 80s, how many of those do you remember that never got a shot at multimedia exploitation?
Not to mention, half the time, and this is like a hidden thing, and I know you've heard of this, things get optioned for like $5,000, and then they sit in hell, developmental hell, for a decade, and no one can touch it. And I always talk to creators behind the scenes, and here's a little bit of an insight for those who are actually watching the video now. Don't sign contracts that give away your rights for long periods. Always have short-term contracts with that.
Yeah, most of my friends who have had stuff optioned, usually the options are for maybe 3 years tops. And that's a long time still. But
And you got to watch the automatic, what is it? The automatic
rollover.
renewal or rollover? Yeah. Do not let that happen to you. Do not give an automatic rollover. Always have it so you have to renegotiate the contract.
Put it in your Google Calendar. 90
Yeah.
days out. Exercise your option.
Yeah.
But like I said, Kickstarter really, for the independent creator, is as good, if not better, distribution than you're going to get through Diamond. A lot of comic shops, back when we created Drea as part of the Digital Webbing Presents anthology, that's when you still had Marvel and DC as part of the previews catalog. And more often than not, a lot of shops did not go past Image or Dark Horse. It's like they would order from Marvel, they would order from DC, they'd pick and choose from the major independents of Image and Dark Horse, but that green section of the previews catalog would have to be special order, pull drawer or whatever.
No, man, I definitely agree. Now, speaking of creating, how did you and the creative team get together on this amazing project?
Well, as I said, Drea was created for Digital Webbing Presents back around 2002, 2003. Ryan Sargent and I, Ryan, of course, is the artist. We first met on digitalwebbing.com, and we teamed up. Originally, Elisu Gueva, who was the artist on Miss Vicky and her Cutie Commandos, which was a successful Kickstarter campaign I did last year. He was originally slated to be the artist on Drea, and he just had too many other commitments and had to step away. And Sarge was there, and I loved his stuff. He was able to nail likenesses. He had sort of a Kevin McGuire feel to his pencils and inks. So we teamed up and we ran with it. We did the 4 stories for Digital Webbing Presents, 3 of them seeing print, and then we did 51 Delta for Arcana, and that was originally created for, if you remember, Platinum Studios and their basically American Idol for comic book creators. We created a thing called Alien House, and by the time it was all said and done, it evolved into 51 Delta, which was released by Arcana back in 2011. But now we're teaming back up and trying to bring Drea back.
Well, that is so awesome, dude. I really do love the fact that you guys have kept moving forward, which brings us to our next question. What do you believe separates your Kickstarter from the thousands of other Kickstarters on Kickstarter?
Yeah, well, one of the things I really thought was we're coming in with an established character. I mean, the numbers were not great back in the mid-2000s, but she did have a nice little audience. And the character has been sort of quiet the last few years. I self-published issue 1, reprinting the first 2 stories and reprinting her first story in color for the first time. And that's sort of what we're doing with this issue, where we're taking the story that was meant for Digital Webbing Presents, but the anthology ended before it ran. We're getting color on that and hope to be presenting the story in this issue. Plus, we're also working in a genre that really is kind of underserved right now. In the current market, once you get past Red Sonja and Marvel picking Conan back up, you're kind of falling off the radar with fantasy stuff. I think CrossGen was the last time there were a number of fantasy titles on the stands. And right now, all you've got are the Red Sonja books from Dynamite. If you want to get technical, maybe the John Carter tie-in books. But until Marvel's Conans start hitting the stands, really there's not a lot of fantasy stuff in your local comic shop.
Now, one of the questions I wanted to actually ask you that you didn't answer, and I didn't, it's a good follow-up question, is how do you reconnect with those fans that you once had?
It's tricky. It really is tricky. One of the things I've done when I do shows is I have a mailing list sign up, and I need to send a newsletter out to remind people that, hey, we've got the Kickstarter going on. Come on. If you enjoyed issue 1 when you picked it up at a show, let's go ahead and get in there now. Go ahead and order issue 2 so you are sure to have it. But the audience we had back then, I mean, that's the tricky part about it, because we're 12, 13 years removed from the last Drea story seeing print, at least through Digital Webbing Presents. And, I mean, a lot of people have moved on. Some people may not even be buying comics anymore. But I mean, Drea had a great female audience. I had the rep for the printer come up to me at San Diego not long after the cover feature ran in Digital Webbing Presents 22. And she was like, we loved her. Are you doing more? Are you doing more? It's like, yes, we're doing more. And now that more is finally getting back out there. Like I said, the numbers were not ideal back in what, 2005, 2006 on those last couple of appearances. But at the same time, I think they're numbers that some indie publishers would kill for now. It's kind of that catch-22. But the numbers we didn't have then, the market for indie comics has helped a little bit, but it's still weak. It's still weak, I'm afraid. Not everything can be Saga.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think some of it, and you know what was disparaging, and I heard this, and we'll just move on from it quickly, but someone had made the comment that their cover didn't look indie comic enough. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, we're somehow a lower standard, and when we step out of the shadow, we're not good enough?
Well, let's face it, indie comics right now is college rock back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
It's like, if you've got decent color, if you've got your black ink on register, you've sold out. You've signed with Geffen.
Oh, man.
It's like, why aren't you still on Sub Pop, man?
Yeah, I mean, any success and you're no longer one of us.
To a degree. But yeah, it's... And let's face it, like I said, fantasy is not something that's really well served at the moment. But it's one of those genres that were a big part of comics, definitely in the 70s into the 80s. I mean, it's hard to believe we're so far removed from the days where Warlord and Conan were among some of the top sellers on the newsstands.
And let's not forget, comics start with those. Fantasy is what started comic books. Fantasy and horror.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have the war comics anymore. You don't have the fantasy stuff. You don't have a lot of kids stuff.
Yeah, you really don't. I agree with you. And it always bothers me because I was just doing a panel about the importance of comics in the classroom, and I truly believe that every company is missing out. Kudos to Marvel and DC for finally changing that. DC's now got the Walmart magazine, which I think is a good gateway because they're supposed to be only doing G content with that, or PG, because their violence has PG on it. And Marvel's going through what was the smaller thing?
Well, I know they're going through Archie for the digest reprints.
Yeah,
and they're going through IDW.
Oh, is it IDW?
Some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. For new material. Yeah.
Credit to
going
them
through
for doing that, for reaching out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's really something that we've missed out on since, since Harvey went under and the Star Comics line kind of descended into, this is where we'll shove all the licensed stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. We've been talking a lot about it. Obviously, this is something you want to be an ongoing series, because the next question was, you want it to be an ongoing series. But as a hook, as a different change to this question, because I know it's an ongoing series just by your answers, what about a new fan? You talked about the old fans. How do the new fans see this new work? And how are the old fans going to see it? Is this original to them? Is this like not a reboot, but a retelling possibly?
Well, it is sort of a retelling. It's the first issue, which, by the way, is available as part of the campaign, because I've had people go, why are you starting with issue 2? No, issue 1 is available as one of the rewards. You have an option of getting both 1 and 2. And like I said, the first 2 issues are basically retelling the digital webbing stories. There's some remastering, there is some rewriting, because I would hope I'm a better writer than I was back in the mid-2000s. Practice makes perfect. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely some new stuff out there. The second story in issue 2, very few people have seen, because what we did was we created an ashcan book where we were basically able to get the story out there and just have it available, because we did have an audience and people coming up to us at shows going, have you got any more Drea? One of the things that we did today, we added original art rewards to the campaign today. And part of that is because when we did issue 22 of Drea, that year, both Sarge and I were at Wizard World Chicago, set up an artist alley, and a guy came by and he bought every story page and the cover of issue 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brian, you were saying something in the never mind the furthermore clever title pending show this morning, right?
Yeah. Somewhere in the Chicagoland area, there is a collector, or was a collector. We remember his first name was Joe. We can't remember his last name to save our lives. But he owns all of the artwork for the first 2 Drea stories. And now with what we did on the rewards today, we are going to have the 24 story pages of this issue. They're going to be available as a reward level, and fairly reasonably priced. But yeah, that's one of those things where if you were a fan before, if you wanted original art, if you remember the Fight Night story when it ran in Digital Webbing Presents 26, guess what? That artwork is going to be available, as well as this second story, which we're really excited to finally have people seeing for the first time. And it really will be for the first time for, I'd say, a good 95% of the audience.
That's got to be awesome to have this new audience finally seeing something you worked in a time where, let's not remember, the 1990s and the early millennium was a hard time to be an indie creator. It was
very.
Kickstarter really came to life. Did it change? You know?
Yeah. And that's really a big part of it, is so much of what we did in the 2000s. I mean, the group I was with in Digital Webbing Presents, we had a really strong roster of artists. And the artists are the ones who have really maintained and grown. I mean, we had Ryan Stegman, we had Ryan Otley. Some people may be offended I bring this name up, John Malin. But, I mean, those are just three of the guys that were early Digital Webbing Presents artists, and they've worked for Marvel, they've worked for DC, they've worked for the different image studios, and they're all successful. Scotty Young did the cover for issue 2 way back in the day. So it's, but the writers didn't necessarily have the coattails. So a lot of us have just kept plugging away, and some of us have worked for Image, some of us have worked, have gotten some Marvel gigs here and there. But a lot of us are still just plugging away, doing our indie books, doing our projects that are creator-owned, and building the audience.
Speaking of creator-owned, you're on some other interesting indie projects right now that are coming out. You want to give a quick shout-out to the other projects that you're currently part of?
Oh, well, let's see. Well, one I can go ahead and talk about because it's been solicited, and hopefully in the handful of stores that ordered it, it will be hitting soon. It's a book from Arcana called Supersonic. And that one was a long time coming, but we finally got it out. It's basically Top Gun with subs.
Wow, that sounds like real interesting right away.
Yeah, I was given just that sentence by Sean O'Reilly with Arcana. And it's like, you think you can do something with that? It's like Top Gun with subs. 80s action movie. Yeah, I could do something with that. So basically, I suggest finding a copy because I know not a lot of stores ordered it, but it's going to be a nice hardcover graphic novel package. And all I can do is suggest you grab a copy of The Best of Van Halen, put it in the CD player or your MP3, and crank it up and enjoy the book.
You got to send me like a link or something so I can get that on Indie Advocates for you guys.
Will do.
Sounds interesting, man.
Will do.
The other questions, of course, because I don't want to keep you. I know you're busy. All creators are busy and have a dozen other things going on.
Right.
Is the, let's see, I just want to make sure we didn't skip over anything. Oh, stretch goals. That's what we're doing. So, of course, we know this is bigger, but are stretch goals important to you? And we were just talking about the importance of that art collection that's out there now. How important are the stretch goals to you? Do you have something really big planned in this one?
Well, we did. When things were kind of slow, I went ahead and unlocked a couple of the stretch goals that we had locked up. Joel Sagan, who was the colorist on the Fight Night story that ran in DWP 26 and will be reprinted in this issue, he has transitioned from doing coloring to pencils and inks, and he is doing a variant cover for us. And another variant cover that we have that was going to be a stretch goal originally, but we went ahead and freed it up so his fan base could get on board. Fantasy artist Mike Hoffman, who, if you've seen some of the black and white comics that have been inspired by the old Warren horror magazines, he's done covers for those. He's done his own Tigress Tales, Madame Tarantula. I knew him originally because he was the artist with my friend Barry Buchanan on a Western comic called The Ballad of Utopia. But Mike has a style that could best be described as Frazetta-esque. I remember when he was doing stuff for Pacific back in the early 80s. And there's a difference in what he was doing then and what he's doing now. I think the way I've heard it described is he basically retaught himself how to draw and went back to a lot of the things that inspired Zeta and really relearned the skill for drawing and painting. And his work now is just that classic fantasy style that when you see it, you go, "Oh yeah, that's the stuff. That's the Conan paperbacks from the 60s and 70s. That's classic sci-fi paperback covers. It's the old Warren covers for Creepy and Eerie and Vampirella. And it's just, he does amazing work. And first thing I ever had published was a pinup in the Tigress Tales pinup book. So it's kind of full circle to get to have him do a cover featuring my character.
That is so awesome. That's what I love about indie comics. We all kind of never forget who we were, and we all like die to work with each other again. Like all the artists I've worked with, I've looked forward to the next time that we work together again. And speaking of that, what inspired this project back in the day? I know you got to go way back, but what would you say the inspiration is for this one?
Well, like I said, this was started with Digital Webbing Presents, and Ed Dukeshire deserves a lot of the credit because he was a big fantasy fan. He loved the Frank Thorne Red Sonja and a lot of the other fantasy comics of the 70s and 80s. And at the time, like I said, that stuff wasn't getting out there. I think Marvel had just dropped Conan, and Dark Horse hadn't quite picked it up, or if they had picked it up, it was only for miniseries. So it was like, we need to have a fantasy type character, preferably a hot chick. Hey, it was the early 2000s.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with hot chicks now. There's
not at all. Not at all. And I mean, I think there were a few people pitching possible fantasy heroines. And when I sat down and tried to think of, okay, let's do something along those lines, but give it its own personality. And growing up, I think one of the first movies I got to see in a theater was the Disney Robin Hood, the animated. And I loved the Errol Flynn Robin Hood. So it was like, okay, let's do a female Robin Hood. And then I went back to Disney again. Let's do Snow White as Robin Hood. And when you do that combination, it's Snow White as Robin Hood. That's really all you need. You have the backstory. It's like, okay, she's a princess. She's presumed dead. Evil Queen is her stepmother. Doomed her to death. She was rescued. She was raised by the Thieves Guild. Why not? And that's how she became Drea, Queen of Thieves. She is of the age now that she's wanting to reclaim her birthright. But she was raised by outlaws. She is an outlaw. So she's basically trying to regain the throne, but she's a criminal. And she's got to stay one step ahead of her stepmother, the queen, but at the same time try to organize the people of the kingdom to rise up against the queen and reinstall her to the throne.
See, that should have been your elevator pitch for Kickstarter. Imagine Snow White as Robin Hood.
Well, that's exactly what it says.
You know, that's
first line of the Kickstarter. Snow White as Robin Hood.
No, I mean right up top, the very top. Like it should have been.
Yeah.
Queen of Thieves. Right there, it should have been. Like, I see it's in the next thing, but I mean, I was blown away the first time. I am such a fan of marketing now, and the pitches and how to do a pitch right and branding yourself. That was clever. Like, I read that in the submarine Top Gun thing. I love things that instantly just like, I need to read that. You know, something inside your head goes, okay, I'm in. Take my money.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. Maybe that is part of why we've been lagging a little bit, but at the same time, it's one of those things. There is a lot of people out there on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah.
So, I think right now we have about 47 people watching the campaign, and it's one of those things that you accept it's part of Kickstarter, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying. Is you have the people who wait to see if you're funded before they commit.
Yeah, I've never liked that. I always hated that.
I mean, I can understand that for like an Indiegogo, because on that site, they do charge you. But with Kickstarter, where you're not charged unless the campaign is successful, what does it hurt you to go ahead, if you're intrigued, if you want to give it a shot, go ahead and commit to one of the lower tiers. And if it gets closer to the goal and you can make a difference and there is something in the rewards that you'd really like to get, go ahead and upgrade your bid or upgrade your pledge. Because with the rewards we've got, like I said, we've got the original art. Sarge committed to do 3 sketch covers. He's a full-time teacher, and he's also coaching high school football. So this is kind of his busy season right now. But we did some sketch covers for San Diego one year for for Drayan number 1. So I'm getting Sarge 3 of those, and 2 of them are already spoken for. So there is 1 Ryan Sargent sketch cover left in the rewards. And like I said, we've got the variant covers by Joel, by Mike Hoffman. There's also the Paul Spangler variant. He's a local Southern Illinois artist. And God, what else? We've got the T-shirt. We've got the double shots where you can get both 1 and 2. So we try to have basically everything covered. If there is something that we don't have, I can't think of it. I was talking with someone that's like, what did you have as rewards for Miss Vicky that you don't have here? And really, it was something that was very specific to the Miss Vicky concept, which was the pinup style bomber art, like they would put on the nose of planes. We did stickers based on bomber art, and that wouldn't necessarily fit with Drea. So that's the other thing we added. We've added a print of the cover without the trade dress. So there's an 11 by 17 print you can get. So we try to take care of our customers, take care of our fans, and hopefully we will be able to get over the hump and hit the last $725 to get to the main goal at, in 10 days. Noon Sunday, September 30th will be the end of the campaign, while I will be at SalukiCon in Carbondale, Illinois. So...
Well, make sure to tag me in that, and thank you for coming on. And, of course, for those who don't know, I asked you to come on because I thought you were so passionate. The first thing I knew you from following you and just everything I do with Indie Advocates and knowing how much you're involved in the indie culture. And I was like, you got to do a video. I remember telling you that. You had to get that video up there for that Kickstarter because I know you're a guy who knows what you're talking about. So I say this a lot, and I truly mean it. You want to back guys like Sean. Sean, you've been doing things for other creators constantly. You don't brag about it. You don't talk about it. But you've built relationships in indie comics. You know, some of the comics that have been made are because of you and the connecting you've done.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
I promise I'm not stalking you. I just hear a lot of things. And all the things I hear about you have been nothing but good. So you guys are supporting indie comics. Here's a guy to support. He is someone who is, and you hear he's been in it a lot longer than most, and he knows his shit. So there goes $1 to a Kickstarter. But
I'll take it.
He gets the $1. So my cursing mouth. But yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where support the guys who have made indie comics what they are today and making them better every day. So support this creator. Thank you so much for stepping on with us tonight. We're going to get back to the rest of the show, but I appreciate it. We'll have up your answers tomorrow.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You have a great night, my friend.
You too. Bye.
All right, guys. Now you know why you have to back this Kickstarter. We're going to go ahead and finish the program because I know you guys are excited to see what else is going on this evening on our show, and we're going to get right back to it right now. And you can see all of his written answers, which is what inspired me to want to actually have him on the show for this, because they were such great things, and I wanted to have that conversation with him. He's someone I want to go on the round table with in the near future. So we're going to get back into our program right now. We're going to watch this amazing Kickstarter. It's T-Man and Hyper Strike.
Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Fish from MrFishComics.com and Tourette's Life on Facebook. I was coming to you to let you know about a brand new comic book that I'm doing. I'm launching a Kickstarter for it. The comic book is T-Man and Hyperstrike. T-Man is the towering teal titan of Tourette syndrome. He's tied into the cosmic T-force that ties every single one of us with Tourette syndrome together. It's that power coursing through our bodies that gives us extra creativity, faster reflexes, makes us smarter, more creative, better musicians, better artists, all those things. That's what makes us so awesome. And all that extra awesomeness being burned off in our bodies where all the ticks come from. So he's tied into this force, and he's got the ability to tap into everybody's power with Tourette syndrome. He has the combined strength of all the athletes in the world with Tourette syndrome. He has the combined speed of every runner from playgrounds to the Olympics with Tourette syndrome. He's got the creativity, the brilliance of all the wonderful minds with Tourette syndrome, which makes him nearly an unstoppable hero. He's not a special needs hero. He's not a disabled hero. He is an amazing hero in a pantheon of heroes, equal to no other. And his partner in this, not his sidekick, not his assistant, not his daughter, not his girlfriend, his partner in this is Hyperstrike, the hyperactive hero. She's an amazing person that has ADHD, and she's focused all that extra energy into studying Taekwondo, Kung Fu, karate, all the martial arts, Krav Maga. She's become an amazing hand-to-hand martial artist, and she's an amazing engineer and scientist. She's designed and built this suit of armor that lets her focus all the extra energy in her body and power her suit with it. It lets her fly. It lets her run at super speed. It makes her strong. She can blast energy blasts. If she doesn't have the ability now, I guarantee you she can build it into that suit quickly. Our goal on this Kickstarter is to raise enough money to bring the printing costs way down so that anybody that wants a copy of T-Man and Hyperstrike in the future will be able to easily afford it, and to get the extras printed to help do the incentives and whatnot, and then shipping. I'm not trying to get rich on this thing. I'm not trying to make $1 million. I'm just trying to make sure that I got the printing covered and I can be sure to ship this to anybody who wants to get a copy of it, whether it's a single copy or a pack for classrooms, so that everybody can get a copy of the comic and a wristband to remind them to tick loud and proud. So that's what we're trying to reach with this Kickstarter, a simple goal. Share this with all your friends. Get the word out. Somebody that shares either this post from Kickstarter or shares this post from my Facebook page with Tourette's Life might actually win the opportunity to get their face in the comic book. That would be awesome. Is one of those people that he's getting his creativity from, getting his brilliance, his strength, whatever it needs to be. Somebody's going to get the chance to get their face in the comic book. And there's lots of different levels that you can pledge at. From a digital copy of the comic I can email anywhere in the world so all of our foreign friends can get a copy, to regular printed out copies with a wristband that tells you to tick loud and proud, all the way up to being able to get the comic in an awesome tick loud and proud t-shirt just like this one. So get in there, find the best way that you can help get this out there, donate and share. Thank you guys for your help. God bless you, and tick loud and proud.
Like, wow, man. Wow. I love that ADHD thing. As someone who has constant ADHD, and anyone who's seen me or stood near me always sees me shaking and rocking, it's definitely awesome to see the representation that way. And the positive representation for once. Not, you know, so often it's used in a negative way. This is finally in a way that is positive and supportive, showing that people with ADHD and Tourette's can do amazing things. Speaking of amazing, the Guano Guy, who I'm no longer going to call him by his name, he's just going to be Guano Guy. The creator is now officially Guano Guy, is back, but this time he's on Indiegogo.
Hey, I'm Mark Darden, the writer-creator of Guano Guy. It's an indie book that's been going on for a while now, and most recently I successfully funded the 5th issue. It was a 40-page double, but I thought, hey, everybody didn't see it. Maybe there's some people on Indiegogo that would like to get a set of the books. So with 5 issues available, I'm putting it up on Indiegogo. I've got it available as a PDF set of 5 books. There's a print set. And of course, there's a print and PDF set, which also comes with some extras, with some stickers and some prints. And the 5th issue has a double cover. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, if you happen to like comedy superheroes with sarcastic language, references to culture, and a lot of witty battles, and maybe not so much of the fisticuffs, this might be a book that you really enjoy. So please, if you get a chance, check out my Indiegogo campaign, see if you might want a set, and I'd love to get it to you. Again, my name is Mark Darden. Thanks for checking out my video.
That's a clever idea, because just because you're successful in Kickstarter doesn't mean that you actually have made it to the Indiegogo market. So I really love the idea. And I'm going to be paying attention to see if it works. Speaking of paying attention, I dare you to take your eyes off of Daisy Chain. Now, you can find me and this fantastic creator this November 4th at Daytona. We're taking over the panel room, and he's an amazing creator. You got to check out Paige, and you got to back that, man. I told you, I give you guys some of the best shit ever. And check this out. This amazes me. I absolutely love this. 100 Days by my friend.
Starter. My name is Austin Allen Hamlet, and today I'm here to talk to you about my project, 100 Days. 100 Days was inspired by a Kickstarter that I stumbled onto a couple years ago by Justin Barber, and I might have said his last name wrong. I apologize if I do. Where for 100 consecutive days, he had to write at least 100 words every day about any topic. It's kind of more like a personal memoir. So I decided to do the same myself as a writer. This is my first foray, let me use a big word, into personal narratives. I mainly write comic books, which I've written several of: The Adventures of Punk and Rock, Headless Hitman, Steel Wool, self-published small press stuff you've probably never heard of, and that's okay. I've barely heard of it, and I wrote it. I talk about many different topics all over this. Talk about God, my views on God, professional wrestling. I talk about comic books. I talk about getting caught masturbating by 2 Jehovah's Witnesses when I was 12. I don't claim to have a filter, and so when I'm talking to people anyway, so this book is definitely like that. I think my fiance would probably be, when she reads it, if she reads it, will probably wish I wouldn't have talked about some of the things that I did, but I'm a very open person. I'm very proud that I did this. This was a pretty big learning experience for me. I am broke as fuck right now. I know that's probably not the correct way to do this video, but I mean, this is how I am. In a fucking Ninja Turtles hoodie, looking stoned as fuck, and I've actually only ever smoked weed once. Cover that in the book. But I need somebody to, to get the book up on Amazon, to get an ISBN purchased. I have hired an editor to go over my grammar, because my grammar sucks ass. And what's the other thing? Grammar and punctuation, to go over that, as well as, paying for the logos and the cover art. So I've got several different rewards, varying from a print copy of the book, digital copy of the book, to various other things that I've worked on in print and digital editions, as well as a 1-hour Skype session with me where I can help you go over writing or marketing plan. I've ran 2 successful campaigns in the past, and everybody got their stuff. With this, everybody will get their stuff. Everybody will get it fast. I've self-published enough in the past that this is actually far easier to self-publish than a comic book, or to deal with art and stuff and sizing. But this project's done. By the end of the campaign, the book should be edited. I get the money to the editor, and I knew my cat would come. Hi, Toby, one of them. And I just need some money to get this project going. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. And I really appreciate you. To those of you who watch at this point, because there's probably none of you, but thanks anyways. Wubba dub dub.
Now, I love his sense of humor and his honesty. This is a creator to back, another guy who's fantastic in the indie market. If you don't know who he is, you're missing out on someone amazing. And speaking of amazing, this is an amazing comic book. I wish I could show you the video, but they used copyrighted music. Now, in this regard, to be honest, they probably have the permission, because this is a Source Point Press, and Source Point Press is currently working with Twisted, and the song is from Twisted. However, the evil bot on YouTube would not know the difference and would get us another bad mark. So I do encourage you guys to try to look at it. I am reaching out to try to get them to get their own unique video just for this program. And please, guys, feel free to make a video, make a live Facebook video, make sure the setting is made to be public, and let the audience know something here that's unique and interesting, and really engage with the Indie Advocates subscribers and people who watch this video. We get hundreds of views, so this is an opportunity. Another copyright music problem that we had was Ruby and the Warriors of Dion #2. No getting around this one. There is no way that they had the rights for this song, but you should go check it out. Unfortunately, we just cannot play that in this program, so we're going to have to move on. This is a little bit of a longer video, but I think it's an important video, so we're going to let it play in entirety.
Hi guys, welcome to my Kickstarter, Suicide Prevention Superhero Leap. My Leap is all about, sorry, I'm a little nervous. Leap is all about what suicide does to those around the individual who commits suicide. I originally started creating Leap when I had lost my teacher to suicide. It was a year later when I started the comic book because I didn't really go through the process of grief the way others may have, and I had locked it all up inside, and it didn't really come out of me until I went away for the army for basic. And when that happened, I had all this emotion. I was kind of detached from everything. That I was keeping it all in me, all my split channels and technology and what have you. So in basic, it just all poured out of me, all this emotion and all my feelings towards my teacher and his death and how I was feeling about it. Leap is all about really preventing more suicides and bringing awareness to the stigma of mental health and suicide. I essentially just made it to, originally it was just for me. It was just to get all this emotion out of me without really confiding in people that I didn't really know yet in basic. But it became so much more. It became more apparent to me that it needed to be so much more when I realized so much more people are going through this process. A little bit more about my teacher, Patrick J. Mulvaney, committed suicide back in 2015. In that year, I was also suicidal. My suicidal tendencies almost got the best of me. I had gotten off work late one night, and I had went to the train tracks. Mind you, a train had just passed, and I did not realize that was going to be the last train of the night. There was a little footbridge to get to the train tracks over a trench of some sort. And I went to walk over there and end my life. I waited there probably about an hour before I got a call from a friend. And they realized I was crying. And I had let loose all that, all that was going on. Luckily that day I didn't kill myself, obviously, because I'm still here. But it felt like part of me had died that day. And I mentioned this because part of the reason why I held on was motivating. Part of the reason why I held on was my sisters. It was part of the reason was all these things. I didn't want to die. That's the thing. No one wants to die when they commit suicide. They want the payback, and that's something we have to get across with the stigma. This comic is going to help destigmatize everything. It's another thing about it is we need to understand how to approach these situations. Another instance in 2015, I was sitting at lunch and there's this kid named Danny, and Danny had hearing aids, so we kind of joke around with him about it. And during one day, I guess the jokes were a little bit too much, where he took it the wrong way, and he shouts and says, "God, that's why I wanted to kill myself 2 days ago." The entire table went silent. No one knew exactly what to say or do, including myself, someone who a few months prior was contemplating suicide and was starting to feel better. My self-esteem and all that started getting a little bit better. And those who go through these experiences want to help others. So I didn't necessarily know what to do in that instance. That being said, nothing happened. I didn't do anything about it until a few days later, where I had asked him if he was okay, if he was better. Luckily, Danny did not kill himself. Now, with my teacher, the day before he killed himself, I had talked to him. He seemed off. They always talk about warning signs when it comes to suicide. So he had definitely seemed. Excuse me. He definitely seemed off to me. I had asked him if he was okay. He responds with just insomnia. With those words, I believed him due to the energy drinks and coffees he had at his desk. Now, I tell you this because I wish I didn't believe him for his words that day, because the very next day he did end up killing himself. This comic is to honor him and all those that have died from suicide, and not only them, but the survivors of the victim of suicide, because we have to carry around this part of us that kind of died the day those individuals died, and it doesn't sit well. It's definitely an experience that I don't wish on anyone, but I wish to help others through my experience. Things that you can expect with this comic book is to destigmatize mental health and suicide. The first issue is mainly all about suicide and suicide prevention and grief and loss. It definitely will dig deeper in the series overall, because it's not going to be one issue. It's going to be an entire series, as long as I'm able to roll it out and have enough interest. Now, with that being said, I need your help. I need your help to get this launched. We need this to be a thing. Therefore, we can destigmatize mental health and suicide. But a little bit about the book itself. Patrick, who is the superhero, named in memory of Patrick J. Mulvaney. The story starts about a year later, where he's feeling all this emotion, and it's still relevant to him that, you know, suicide. I'm sorry, Selena's suicide, which was his fiance, was still an everyday thing for him. And through the first issue, you see him going through this grieving process where he's still struggling with all this anger inside. He has a best friend named Heather, who's also Selena's best friend. So I'm still a little bit nervous. Heather helps Patrick combat this on a day-to-day level, and despite her help, Patrick still needs an outlet. So he turns to become a superhero, because he realizes this isn't just something that he had to deal with his loved one. It's something that his city needs. His city needs a hero to help prevent suicides, because it's such a prevalent issue in his city, not only in his city but in the world. As I said, I would really appreciate all your support in this project, and to help get it launched and get it where it needs to be. I apologize this isn't as formal as some videos might be. I get a little camera shy. But that's generally it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, thank you for watching, and please support and share this Kickstarter. Suicide Prevention Superhero Elite. Thank you, and have a great day.
Now, I just want to talk about how powerful that video is. Clearly, he's not comfortable behind the camera, but he's delivering such a powerful message. My God, this is what's so great about indie comics, is that a comic like this exists, where a Marvel or DC would probably shut it down because they'd be afraid of what it could trigger, I guess, would be the right word in this generation to use. I know I sound like an old man saying that, but it's true. And I am impressed by that video. I really am. Normally, I would never play a 9-minute video on this program, But that was a 9 minutes worth watching. Just credit to him. Powered through the video. Told very compelling stories. Such honesty in that. That makes me want to be backing the project again, and I already backed it. Speaking of amazing books to back, let's see Realm of Spirits.
I know who you are. I've been hunting you ever since you left your burning village. I've been hunted too. He said his name was...
I am Hiroka.
All right, look at the art in that. The art in that is absolutely amazing. To switch gears, let's listen about a children's picture book.
Big means live happily ever after, and shame on them. Hi there. I was just trying to read a book without pictures. It's not as good as a picture book, but you know, oh, it's not a picture book. Well, speaking of picture books, I have a new book coming out. It's called... As I was saying, I have a new book coming out, and it's called... Guys, I think he's over that way. Just keep walking. I'm sorry. Sorry about it. Okay, I have a new book coming out, and it's called Listen. Listen is about a mismatched family that learns to love one another by simply listening. It's actually about those guys over there. I'd love to share the full story with you, but well, that's why I'm doing this Kickstarter, because I need to raise the money so I can publish and do all that other fun business stuff that you have to do before you put a book out. Now, say I went over what I was asking for, and you guys were just like loving all my stuff and just giving me all this money. Say that happened. Well, I have a bunch of other books I'm working on. I also have a book that I'm in the middle of right now about a duck. Hell, if you support me, you'll get a bunch of cool goodies, like a signed copy of the book, some awesome art, and some other neat little things. So ultimately what I'm asking is that you find it in your heart to support my art.
What a cute video. Speaking of listening, Into the Suck, listen up to me and hear about Into the Suck. Number 3 is science fiction action comedy book, comic book comedy. Well, it does have some humor in it. This was written by my friend who we had taken away from us last year, sorry. Keith Thomas, and still miss him, still miss talking to him. And this is an amazing book. I have some exciting news about a crossover between into the suck in one of my books. You guys are going to have to stay tuned for that. But meantime, get your hands on this amazing book. Great art. Love it. Very funny, very interesting stories. And it's amazing to see that Keith Thomas is still alive with us in his creation. And I love that. And speaking of things I love, let's talk about Diamond Rope. Okay, for those of you obviously who know me, I am the creator of Fetish Babies. So, of course, I know a little something about rope. I met the owner of this new exciting company recently at a fetish meeting called a Munch, which you could learn more about by reading Fetish Babies. And I got to actually see the rope, and I love the fact that it's colored rope. I love the fact that it's, it's cool and interesting, and it adds something to play. And it's a nice quality rope, nice, strong. It's got some durability, soft feeling. I'm definitely going to have it on a show to show you guys in the near future. Maybe I'll find someone who can demo it for us. And anyone who wants to volunteer, you can volunteer. But if kidding around aside, this is amazing rope, and it is cool. I like the fact that I can help this new company get off the ground with something, and it's definitely something that's near and dear to me, because I mean, they went on to Kickstarter to kickstart a basically fetish rope creating business. How amazing is that? And I want to be supportive of this. And I know some of you guys have read Fetish Babies and we're like, maybe I want to try some, light bondage. Maybe tie up my partner and explore. Well, you could do it with some amazing colored rope. That's what's so awesome about this. They have a red rope, which of course I like because I'm the devil. They have a yellow rope, and we're even talking about possibly having a crossover between Fetish Babies and the rope maker for maybe a Kickstarter exclusive coming up. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned. If you guys are looking to play with rope, this is or you're looking for cool colored rope because maybe you want to take some cool pictures of your actual BDSM or bondage poses, this is definitely the rope to invest in today. Check out the Kickstarter. It's amazing rope. I have backed it, and I'm telling you, this is going to become a rope that I personally use. It's thumbs up, and I am the creator of Fetish Babies, so I do know a little something about rope. Jolly Jane, I have no idea why this video disappeared. We have 2 missing videos for some reason, but that's okay. We're just going to go directly to the Kickstarters to find them. We're just going to go over Light Chasers. They did not have an actual, as you see, a video, so they're back on Kickstarter. Light Chasers number 2 and issue 2 and Design Edition. What does that mean? You guys are going to have to click here to find out. And finally, 2 other projects, both unfortunately copyright issues, so we're just going to go over them quickly, and then we'll go to the last. The Gatherer Volume 1 is from an 80s cult horror fans, and this is hard because the video is cool. It's got a copyright issue, but it's only because someone decided to be a jerk and copyright something that they shouldn't have. And I talked to the creator. I'm hoping that they make me a live video that we could do, because I definitely want to showcase some of this stuff. So stay tuned. This is on for a little while, so we have some time. And it takes place in my hometown of New York City. Somewhere that's not my hometown is Mississippi, and that's where the zombies are. And if this book is true, I'm staying away. Get bitten by this Kickstarter by backing on Kickstarter. 2 more amazing Kickstarters to talk about this evening before we let you go. That's just an interesting shot right there. Not on purpose. Jolly Jane. This is by my good friend, Jeff Kaufman, who we've done our interview with in the past. He is definitely an amazing creator. You guys got to check this out.
Hey, I'm Russ Rollins. You might know me from the Monsters of the Morning on Real Radio 104.1 or iHeartRadio. I've been doing that for 26 years. I wrote a book, but this is my first graphic novel. And I came to Big City Comics with Jeff Kaufman, who's written many graphic novels, and we worked on this together. And meet Jolly Jane. You are going to love this graphic novel.
She's terrible. She's a 28-year-old paramedic who gets possessed by a serial killer while being on a ghost tour in Massachusetts. This is a real famous killer named Jolly Jane who killed over 100 people while she dressed as a nurse. It is frightening. It's disgusting. It's keeping me up at night. It's awesome.
And being a part of the Kickstarter now, thank you very much. There's so many opportunities for so many cool things if you help us with this Kickstarter. Matter of fact, you can actually be in the book. We can even kill you in the book.
Oh, we are going to kill you in the book if you pay for it. You know, we're easy.
And the artwork is done by Ken Hunt. He has done so many DC comic covers. He's amazing. He's also doing the interior. This book looks so great. It's beyond my wildest dreams. I got to thank Jeff Coppin for making it come true. He's written many graphic novels. Is this your favorite?
Oh, it is my favorite. It's told in a way, you know, normally I'm alone in Starbucks doing what I'm doing. But this time, when you're sitting at a table duking it out with somebody over every word,
we argue about the dialogue, but
colorful metaphors.
It turned out awesome. Thank you, and thank you for being a part of this. You can be a part of what's going to be the next big superhero serial killer in the comic book world, Jolly Jane.
Oh, also I forgot to mention James Brown, who colored Transformers and G.I. Joe, is also our color support. Enjoy.
Thanks.
That looks amazing. Love it, love it, love it. Speaking of love, let's give some love to my boy, J.R. Blanton.
Hi, everyone. I am J.R. Blanton. For those of you who don't know who I am the writer and the creator and the owner of the Light Earth series from No Gravity Studios. This is another campaign. This time we're collecting the 0 through 3 issues of the Light Earth series into a sleek trade paperback. And we've got some incredible covers this time. Jesse Wickman, Matt Haley, Mike DeBalfo. And you know what the best part is? All these covers this time are going to be available in Chrome. And I can just tell you from getting a couple of them. Oh, yeah, here's one from the last one. Look at that. Look at that Chrome. I would take it out and give you a better example, but it's the only one I have, and I really don't want to get it messed up. But we already have everything all set up. The book is ready to go. It's finished. We're going to send this thing right to print. I mean, we're probably talking less than 3 months of wait time for you guys. And we're going to get it to you as soon as possible. And like I said, everything's going to be available in Chrome. If you want to hit the early birds up, go ahead and hit those. Get a discount on a lot of those things. And we're going to be happy to hopefully see a success. So thank you guys for your support. And hopefully we will be getting this to you soon.
All right, guys. Well, that's our show for this evening. And now, obviously, I know you guys are thrilled as I am to have seen such amazing Kickstarters. And you want to go out there and you want to back Kickstarters. Here's a suggestion that I give you guys that are amazing for backing Kickstarters. Why not spend a couple bucks on each one? Get the PDFs. And then, if you really like it, which I'm sure you're going to like some of these, because, I mean, there are some amazing books on here. So let's change it to when you read it and you decide that you need a copy of it, you go find them on the Comic-Con Highway by watching our forecast program, which will be filmed tomorrow live, about where to find them on the Comic-Con Highway. And then take the book to them and ask them to sign it. How awesome would that be? And speaking of awesome, you guys are all awesome for tuning in. Make sure that you're supporting indie creators on Kickstarter today. My name is Mr. Anderson. It's been my pleasure to advocate for all these amazing creators and their projects.